Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's almost Christmas, so I am sort of rounding up my Christmas cards for this year. But I really wanted to show you this one because in my opinion, the card that I'm making today is just the perfect Christmas card for your friend or even your crafty friend. So I started by die cutting the frame-worthy Slimline die by Crafty Meraki. I used it in a previous video as well. I'm going to do something similar, like one image, and then I am going to try to make a fabulous background and just let both shine on this card. So something gorgeous in its own simplicity. That's the idea. So I'm building this way my background from the top to the bottom, and I'm not going to go completely towards the bottom. I want to have some sort of a white glow on the bottom of this card. I'm not going to add a snowy hill or anything for the girl to be standing on, so that's why I kept the bottom part white completely. Otherwise, if I would have blended all the way down, then I would have added some snowy hills just to have the girl standing on top of something instead of like floating into the air or having that idea of floating into the air. So I didn't go very low with my darkest colors, but now that I'm building upwards again, I am going lower and lower with the darker colors to really get an intense blue night sky idea. And once I'm happy with the blending, I am going to add a few splatters. And because I'm using blues, I really like silver or white golds. So for today, my splatters will be with white gold, number 906 by Gansai Tambi Starry colors. Something that you have to keep in mind if you're using a paper which isn't that good with water, to really make sure that you don't add a lot of water to your paints and that you keep the consistency quite thick. So that's what I did here, because my paper is the perfect coloring paper by Transotype and it just cannot handle water, like Gina cannot handle it as well. If you prefer splattering with water droplets as well, I would recommend Strathmore Bristle Smooth or another watercolor paper, but not this one. So those are my splatters, and now I can continue with the little girl. This one is from my favorite things from the stem set Warmest Wishes. This stem set is came back actually with the Vault by my favorite things, and I remember starting with card making and seeing one of the videos, I think by Christina Werner, and she was coloring this girl in and I loved it. I will check if it was her, but actually I was so in love, and then when I really got into this hobby, you couldn't get it anymore. So when I saw that this stamp set came back with the Vault, I just had to have it. I immediately texted the store where I buy my supplies, and they did their best to get it, and it has been lying here for a while now because I buy too much to be able to use all. Some of you might know the problem, or it's not really a problem, but you know what I mean. So for this little girl, the clothes will be popping with reds, and then the accessories will be dark blue to match with the sky, and that's the idea that I had. I'm trying to sort of mimic myself. The hair, however, went a bit darker than mine actually is. I'm in between blonde and brown hair. But yes, I just went for my go-to brown color combinations for the face and the hair. So that's how she ended up a bit with a bit darker hair than me. But I like her. I think she's so adorable, and her jacket or her dress could really catch like snowflakes and such, and that's the idea that I had to sort of make with this card. I'm going over my shadows and colors twice, at least. With this paper, I find 2 layers to be the minimal amount. I don't have any issues with bleeding, so if you experience that with the paper that you're using, different papers have different characteristics, and this one really can handle a lot of layers of Copics. I have added so many layers onto this paper already and never had it been bleeding, so that's just wonderful. So with the red almost finished, I will continue with the face and the hair and the shoes. For the shoes and the hair, I'm using the same colors. This is my favorite dark brown color combination. It is the E47, E57, and then E23. And I just think it's gorgeous. If you would check out all the videos and just write down my colors that I'm using, this one you will see a lot, as well as the color combination that I'm using on the face, which is not completely pale, but it's also not brown. It's somewhere in between, I think. And if I would have that skin tone, I would be so glad. I'm like really pale and I cannot get any tan going on there. So I would love to have like a skin tone that is E33, E53, E51, and E50. But I don't think that you can order it like that. So that's not working out for me, but at least I can give my images the skin tone that I want. So that's handy. So the hair, I'm trying to sort of flick it. You cannot always see it, and there isn't a lot of wiggle room, so when I'm flicking, normally it goes all over the image instead of just keeping it in between the lines. But I tried and it sort of worked out, but hair, truly, it's difficult. I remember that in the beginning I just didn't buy any girls or boys or fairy stem set because just there was hair to color in and that was just not working out for me. So I kept it to critters, to cute animals, and that was a worry less to figure out and to get a hang of it. So it's definitely something that I got more comfortable with during this last year, and even now I wouldn't really say that it's always working out as I want it to. But yeah, we all have to learn someday, and once you get going and you give it a chance, then you will be able to grow. So that's what we're doing here. Almost finished, and then it's time for my accessories. Today all blues, as I said in the beginning, to match with the backgrounds. I kept it to B99, B97 and B93. There are some colors in between and they make a fabulous transition between each other, but I really wanted to have some sort of a dramatic difference between my lightest and my mid-tone. So that's why I just kept it on to 3 colors, because as you can see there's also a huge highlight with my reds, and if you have all the B90 numbers, then transition will be gorgeous, but there won't be a dramatic difference between some of the shades that you're using. So that's why I limited myself to 3 colors. But if you want a nice blend and if you're practicing and stuff, it can definitely help to have some tones in between to get a hang of it, and then you can check whatever tones you can leave out, of course, and just build from there. Again, 2 layers like the rest of the image. And this is her. Okay, so I'm using the matching dies to cut her out, and then I will try to find a layout that works for me. To keep my die in place, I use some purple tape, and I am adding 2 pieces of purple tape because the image is quite large. So I am going to put her on the bottom right of this card since her back is towards the right. So this way she's really into the card or looking towards the rest of the scene. I tried these embellishments out and I didn't like the fact that it was matte or white. So I ended up taking the bubbles by Little Things from Lucy's cards, and because I liked the placement, I just decided to switch each and every one that I already had on there with the bubbles. And then before I could adhere everything, I first had to stamp out the sentiment. Now, these bubbles have different heights and the large ones truly are huge. So I couldn't adhere it first and then stamp out the sentiment because it would be in the way. So I decided to use my Copic markers that I used for the scarf, so the blue ones, and just mark where I had all these embellishments. And then I could take off the embellishments. I kept them on the side in the right order, and then I could just stamp out the sentiment before continuing. So for the sentiment, I'm using the same ink as for the little girl, which is the Gina K Design Amalgam ink. It's the ink that I keep using. It's so handy because you can do Copic coloring with it, you can do some watercoloring with it, so you will never take the wrong one. Here I am adding the embellishments, and I use the Gina K Design Connect glue to add some glue dots on the sky to adhere everything. And once that's on there, I can start assembling my card. So therefore I took a Slimline card base, and I am first going to add the frame on top of this card base. To help myself, I am closing up my card base. That's easier to check or to see whether the frame is aligned straight and in the middle. And I just added some liquid glue so that I could give myself some wiggle room to get it perfect. And once the frame is on there, I can just add the panel, doing some inlaying. And therefore I'm using my permanent Pritt adhesive roller to get it adheres to this card base. And then there are only a few things left to do. First of all, adding the lovely girl. And therefore I'm using some thin foam squares from Scrapbook Adhesives because they are amazing, as I have repeatedly said to you, but I really love them. I try also to add like a lot on the back just to cover everything as much as possible. That really helps when you're mailing everything so that it doesn't creases or get like ruined by handling post and stuff. So I'm adding her, and now I'm just going to add a few stickles. I'm using today the Stardust. There are a lot of gorgeous stickles out there, but Stardust, Diamond, and I think I also have Unicorn are my three most favorites. So I've added those, and then this actually is my card. So I really enjoyed making this card. I'm really glad with how my background turned out. This is one of my final Christmas cards for today, this one for a friend. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you can always leave them down below. If you like this video, you can also give it a thumbs up if you want to. And I will see you back soon with one of my final cards for this Christmas. Bye!